You're right, guys, welcome back, and today, as Blues are pretty much on the beach at the minute, I'm going to be taking a look back at the players throughout the season and rating them in a classic tier maker fashion. It's been a while since we did a tier maker, and I want to do it again. I've actually changed the lighting setup. Look at a bit of blue on the face. I tell you what, mate, I tell you what, I don't even know. I'm trying to up the production quality, but hey. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So we're just going to go through each player, and basically I'm going to be listing them from elite all the way down to get rid. And there's only one way to go. Let's start it. And the first player I've got here is Mark Roberts, and oh my God, has this man changed. End of last season, start of the season, I would have been down here. He's not going in my team, but the guy can take a throw-in, and they're actually starting to pay off now. But it's not his throwing ability that I'm happy with. Not just his great defensive work. He's been solid at the back alongside Holly Dean, forming a really strong partnership in a defence that was really weak. He's actually doing really good. He can whip a ball in like Pirlo. The Barnsley Beckham is going straight into elite for me. On to the next one quickly. It's Alan Halilovic. Now, Halilovic is a really quality player. We've missed him a little bit this season. He's been injured at times, and it took him a while to get going. A lot of these players are going to have struggles because they played under Karanka, and I'm struggling whether to put him in elite or pretty good. But I think he just makes us tick. I don't want to put him below Mark Roberts, but listen, just because of his injuries and that inconsistency in that area, I'm going to put him in pretty good. But I do want to put him higher, but I want to see a bit more from him. I want to see him have a consistent run, but it is difficult because, Bowyer's not long been here, and I think I would really love to see him here next season to see what he can do. So sign the contract, Alan. Sign the contract, baby. Next up, we have got Pedersen. Now, Pedersen's been an interesting one. Was really good at Blues, but struggled at times, especially when he was linked with move away to Premier League at the time, Watford. And he never really recovered from that until recently. But I think he's been pretty solid again since Bowyer's come back. So I do want to put him in the pretty good category. I want to change this. I'm actually going to change the meh. I'm going to put decent because I think meh is the wrong way to describe him. Next up, we've got Raheem Harper, and again I want to put him in pretty good naturally, but I have to be pretty balanced with this. I think there's a good player in there, a pretty good central midfielder, but I need to see more from him. I haven't seen enough of him this season. I think he does a really good job for us, but again, I don't want to put him at the level of Halilovic and even Pedersen. He's a lot closer to Pedersen than Halilovic, but Harper's going in decent for me. A lot of these players have had time under Karanka, and it's not exactly been the one. And the next one is a key one with that. Right, next up we've got Mikel Sanchez. So listen, he was in get rid. He was absolutely useless. He came in under Karanka, and he looked like he could do a job. But the more and more I saw of him, the more of a donkey he looked. An absolute donkey. And then he comes on for one game, Bowyer brings him on, and he just looks like he's back in the Spanish national squad. And I think, again, I think San Jose's been done over by Karanka. I think you play him in the wrong positions, he's gonna look terrible because he's slow. He moves with the grace of a reversing dump truck with no tyres on, but he can pass a ball, and he can see things that others can't. And that's why I wouldn't exactly say not going in my team, but I would put him in decent, probably lower end of decent. The only thing is, it's not because of his ability throughout the season. It's because of what I can see him doing next season. Do I see him being in and around the squad next season? Yes, I do, because I think Bowyer can bring out the best of him. That is my case. I didn't think about youngsters with this, so I'm gonna keep the format as is. But next up, we've got Ryan Sturck, and at the minute, I'm putting he's not going in my team. No, if you just let me stop it. There, you can see Sturck. Listen, Sturck, he's a great player. He's got potential. He was one of the players that played against Cardiff in the 4-0 defeat where we played a load of youngsters. But he shone a little bit more, and he showed that he had something about him. And I think he's a player that he's gonna be able to be featured more and more in the squad. I think he probably needs a loan, but I think he's He's got potential. He's really got potential. But for me, right now, he's not going in my team. Bella. I love Jeremy Bella. It's a difficult one because this was another player that, you know, when Bowyer came in, he went back to basics. He got rid of the wingers. And so Bella and Sanchez didn't really have much of a place in the squad at all. You know, he's changed the system, moved it about a little bit, and especially against the win against Derby, him and Sanchez played, and you can see they still have a part in this team. They do. How much of a part did they have in the team with the formations that Bowyer wants to play? I'm not sure, but I've got to say, off what I've seen of him at Blues, he has to go in the pretty good category for me. Neil Etheridge up next, and he is an interesting one because listen, we've had terrible keepers recently. We used to be a team that always had really solid goalkeepers, but now not so much. You know, we've had the likes of Lee Camp recently that we were even praising. I was even praising a lot, but I just love the guy. He was a cult hero. Now with Etheridge, it's difficult. His distribution isn't the best in the world. Yes, he makes errors, but he also is a very, very good shot stopper, and I think he's a good keeper to have in this team. I don't think he's up there in terms of pretty good. I think he's at the higher end of decent for me, so that's where I'm going to put him. Next up, Jake Clark-Salter. Now, this one surprised me. When we signed Jake Clark-Salter, I thought he was going to be involved in the squad a lot more, but he's had a very much wasted loan spell at Birmingham City this year. So I do feel for him because he was really, really good when he played for us before. Was it last season? He's done the job at times. He's not been amazing, but he's been overshadowed by a good partnership, a solid partnership in Roberts and Dean, and he weren't going to break that. And even Pedersen playing at centre-back. So I'm sorry, Jake Clark-Salter, but you're not going to my team. Next up, Harley Dean, another controversial one. Now, Harley Dean is an interesting one. At times, he's been pretty terrible, like, let's be honest. But I think I've probably been unfairly harsh to Harley Dean, as have a lot of Blues fans. I think they could hold their hands up to that. I think some questioned his willing to fight for the shirt, but I think you've seen that, you know, the amount he's been with us for quite a long time now, and he's been through many a manager, and while he could be maybe perceived as someone that could cause a fuss in the dressing room with the wrong manager, like, he will fight for the shirt. I think he really will, and he has come in just like Mark Roberts with goals, with good strong performances. I think he's a really good player, and I'm happy to have him as our centre-back. I don't think he's quite elite personally, but I'm going to put him in pretty good. Next up, we've got Jan Valery. Now, Jan Valery, what was the point of this loan signing? Now, I talked about useless, pointless loan signings when we had Jake Clark-Salter in here a moment ago. But this guy, he got sent on loan to come on for the last minute. He's probably had about 10 appearances that have totaled 10 minutes. Seriously, It baffles me. I mean, he's probably a good player, but there was no point to having him in this team. You know, Collan has been killing it. He's been playing really well. There's nowhere in the team for him. It was just a weird Karanka substitution. It was like when we're 1-0 up and we want to bring an extra defender on, we'll bring him on. And it was pointless. So get rid Jan Valery. Next up, wow. It is, of course, the Jukebox. The Jukebox. Who's ever called him the Jukebox? Anyway, that's going to be his name from now on. Jukebox up front. Sing me a song, mate. You are elite. Now, he has struggled this season because Karanka hasn't wanted to play him. And Bowyer came in and he said, listen, when you've got a weapon like that, use it. Exactly. And that's why I like Lee Bowyer. You know, he's the best header of the ball in the league. He is. Simple as that. But if you don't put food on the plate, how's a man going to eat it? He's not gonna. He's been going hungry. He's been dining off crumbs and scraps and dust for the past 8 months. And then Bowyer comes in and he puts a nice full English on his plate. I think this metaphor or whatever is going a bit too far, but you know what I mean. He's delivered him. He's handed him the Amazon Prime parcel. And all he has to do is put it through the letterbox, you know what I mean? He's there. Duke is incredible. He lives and breathes Blues. He is exactly what we're about. It's not pretty. It takes him half an hour to get up off the floor because he's knackered all the time. But does he ever stop fighting? He never stops fighting. He is a living, breathing embodiment of Birmingham City Football Club. And I hope he finishes his career here. I hope we retire his shirt. I'll move on. Next up, we've got Steve Seddon. He's done very well out on loan in the past couple of seasons. He's come in, he's done a job. he's a squad player, and I think there's potential for more. But at the minute, he's not playing often enough for me. And I know I've put Mikel San Jose there, but he's got a wealth of experience that has just got him in there for me. But I'm going to have to put not going in my team just for now, Sid, and I'm sorry, just for now. I think that's fair. Now, Jukebox is another one. I'm not too sure where his career is going to go, and I don't exactly want to put him in not going in my team or get rid. I think he sort of fits in between these for me because I'm just not 100% sure on him. There should have been another category for youth prospects, I think. For now, not in my team. Ivan Sunjic, one of heavy debate. JJ, my friend, really doesn't like him, but he's got a tenacity about him. And yes, you might argue that Kiftnebelt had the same tenacity and we let him go and we paid $6 million for this player. But I'm taking out of the equation the amount we've paid for him. I'm going off the player himself, and he's a decent player. I think there could be more to come from him. I think we expected more with the money we paid, but at the end of the day, he's a decent player that I would want in my squad. I think under Boya, Sunjic could really thrive. Next up, we've got Riley McGree, another one on loan. It was a weird one. He didn't play for a lot of the season. He was in and out of the squad. And then Boya came in, and Boya actually really liked him. And I saw a little bit to him. He showed a bit of versatility, playing at left wing back for one of the games. And I think he's just got a certain energy about him. He's got that ability to push forward, similar to Halilovic in a sense. But he's got a danger to him, and I like that. And I want him to stay at the club. I think he's going to Charlottesville or something like that. But for me, he's going in decent. Next up, we've got JDC Cogley. He seems to have been around at the club for years and years and years, and still he's a youngster. He's almost becoming the Jesse Lingard of our club at the minute. But I think he's a good player. I think it's one of them. Personally, for me, I'm going to put him in get rid. And I think that might be harsh. It might be seen as harsh. But I think that Cogley needs to go out there and do what Wes Harding's doing. Like, get first team football consistently, because it's so important at that age. He needs to be playing league football. Anyway, up next we've got Scott Hogan. Again, strange one. When he first joined Blues on loan, he was firing in the goals right before you know what. And, since we've come back, it dried up. It did dry up for him, and he was struggling. But I think I appreciate his work rate, his effort, his desire. He clearly wants to do well. I think his hold-up play has improved across a lot of the season, because he's had to spend a lot of the season playing up top on his own. I think he's becoming a better all-round player, but he is highly reliant on his confidence. He's very much a confident striker. He's a sort of player that if he gets on a run, he will score goals, and he will keep scoring goals. So, yeah, it's a difficult one for me. He's almost between decent and pretty good for me. I think the reason I'm leaning towards pretty good is purely because of the lack of options that we have up top. So I'm going to put him in decent, and it's a hard decision for me to make, but I've made it now and I've got to stick to it. Next up, we've got Collan. He's been pretty solid all season. I think he's brilliant. He's a great right back, attacking and defensive minded. I think he fits the team perfectly. He's a settled member of the squad. Stick him in there for me. Pretty good. Next up, we've got Jonathan Lico, and as much as I've wanted this man to really do well at Blues, it just hasn't happened for him. And now Boya really likes his work rate, and that might be something that admittedly I've overlooked. He's lacking a certain confidence. He's trying too hard. He needs to be tamed a little bit, and I think there's work to be done there, and I'm just not sure if it's going to work right now. The problem is, I think he's the sort of player we should be loaning out, but because we're lacking so much up top in terms of depth, he's been put in there, but for me, he's not going in my team. And I think there is more to come from Lico, but he needs to show us that. He really needs to prove it. Next up, we've got Gary Gardner, and he's going straight in the pretty good category for me. Say what you like, but Gary Gardner, he's one of them under-the-radar players. He doesn't do anything that looks too fancy, but he does the hard work. When we're leading a counter-attack, Gary Gardner will put on the afterburners, and he will be the player that drives the team forward. Maybe it's not with so much attacking creativity, but the drive that man has for the 90 minutes of the game, you can't argue with it personally. He's going in pretty good for me. Next up, we've got Adam Clayton. One of Karanka's additions. He's going straight in get rid for me. It's not worked out for him, has it? I wish him all the best, but it really hasn't worked out for him personally. George Friend. Yeah, I think he's a solid player, good backup player, good guy to have in the dressing room, good to bring on for the squad. But I don't think he's going to be fitting in the decent area for me. And you might call me an idiot because I've got Mikel San Jose there, and maybe I am, but he's not going in my team right now. He's more of a squad player. Would I be gutted if we lost him? Probably not. I appreciate what he's doing for Blues, and I think he's a valuable member of the squad, but not for me. Next up, Sam Cosgrove, difficult one. I wouldn't say get rid, but I think he's not going in my team right now, and the reason for that is I've not seen anything from him. I've not seen enough. It's as simple as that. He needs to learn from Duke. I hope if he gets a full pre-season under him, he could be a little bit better. But personally, I think he needs a loan. He seems like he was a bit of a panic buy. I'm just not completely sold on him. I'm not going to lie. John Terrell, he's been a difficult one as well. Struggled with injuries again. And he's always one of these players that you know there's a good player in there. His injuries are getting the better of him. Is he going in my team when he's fit? He'll be in and around there, but you know we've got the likes of Alan Halilovic and that. I think he's a decent player, but it's just his injuries that really concern me. But he doesn't belong with those players. I'm sticking with it. It's not going in my team. Amari Miller next. He's played a couple of games. He's come off the bench. He's looked really bright. He's a really bright, promising young player, and I think he's got a good future ahead of him. I'm going to go with exactly the same as Sturck, G-Cock, Seddon. I'm going to say he's not going in my team for now. I think maybe next season, if we, again, a full pre-season under his belt, he could be part of the squad. I think he needs to go on loan, or he needs to be slowly introduced into the squad. I wouldn't want to put him straight in there. You got to nurture young players. You have to. So for now, he's not going in my team, but I think he's a really, really good player, and I'm excited to see what he can do. And I hope he gets in the squad, and it's good when you see him come off the bench. I just think he has to go out there and get the experience, and that's it. Ivan Sanchez is our second to last player. I've got to stick him, you know what, I've got to stick him in the pretty good category. If Bella's there, Sanchez has got to be there for me. He scored probably the goal of the season. It was between him and Halilovic. But he's a real bright spark. Even in our worst times, he's provided a bright spark to Blues and a bit of excitement, and that's what I like to see. It's good that we've got two really strong wingers, and I hope that they can find a place in the squad under Lee Bowyer. I think it'd be silly to get rid of him and Bella. And finally, we've got Andreas Prieto. Yeah, I've not seen too much of him. I'm going to put not going in my team purely because he's a substitute goalkeeper. That's what he does. He's not going to be starting anytime soon. He's not challenging Etheridge for the number 1 shirt or whatever. So that's why I'm putting him there. But that's it. Those are my finalised tiers, and I'm sure a lot of you would disagree with me, but I've just gone with my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm sure I'm going to get slated, absolutely slated by you lot, but it is what it is. I've got to say, if you made it this far in the video as well, thank you so much for watching. I'm trying to create more and more content, get my socials back up and running. I know it's been slow, it's been tough with everything going on, but I really, really want to put everything into this channel. I really do. So I appreciate every single one of you. Follow me on my other socials, especially TikTok. I'm going to be trying to make some more of them at Brummie Joe on there. Like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're new. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well, because there's going to be more content coming thick and fast. And we're approaching 13k. Let's go. That'll be it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.